Well, Home Affairs Minister Aaron Motsoaledi has hit back at the Helen Suzman Foundation following their bid to challenge the scrapping of the Zimbabwean Exemption Permit. Tens of thousands of Zimbabweans have permits that expire in December, which will make them undocumented migrants should they continue to stay in the country. The department says the organization's challenge is a perfect example of the destructive role that some non-governmental organizations are capable of. Minister Motsoaledi is my guest this evening. Thank you so much, Minister, for your time this evening. I mean, how do you receive this challenge there by the Helen Suzman Foundation, looking at challenging even the exemption that has been granted to Zimbabwean nationals? They're calling for the extension of it. Obviously, government is saying, nope, no extension. December is the cut-off time. Now they're taking you to court.
Good evening, Faith. Good evening to the listeners and viewers. Thank you very much for having me. Faith, going to court in South Africa is part of the democratic process. Is provided for in the Constitution, and I'm sure you are aware that it happens every day. What irked me is the propaganda that is carried in this whole thing, as if what we are doing, we never thought about it. We are breaching all the laws. We are callous. We are careless. We're not sympathetic to human beings, when we clearly did everything within the book. For instance, immediately after taking this decision, we sat down, got the files of all the 178 Zimbabweans who are under this dispensation. We sent them emails explaining the purpose of this whole thing, why we are doing it, and what is that which they need to do to regularize themselves using normal permits. Remember, we are not saying at the end of December, go home. We are saying, no, come and apply and use other permits that are available in immigration law, like any other nationality, or like other Zimbabweans who are here on a special permit. Not everybody, who are here not on a special permit. Not every Zimbabwean is on a special permit. Lots and lots of them are on permits regularized by the immigration law and the refugee law. So all we're saying is that there can no longer be any special dispensation. It can't be in perpetuity. Even in the Helen Suzman Foundation statement, they are saying that they are not saying the permit must be in perpetuity, but they were saying the manner in which we have done it, we have not consulted people. When we have sent them emails, we send them SMSs, then we said those who might not be reached by the email and SMSs, or maybe they did not see it, we bought a space and did advertorial in newspapers. We put it on our website. We wrote a letter to the Zimbabwean embassy, to the ambassador, to help. We met with quite a number of groups that were saying they are representing Zimbabwean national. We explained, and in the emails we sent, we even put a number there and say, if you have got any query, if you don't understand, please write to this number, conduct us in this way. That is what we have done. And for the propaganda that, no, this thing was done wrongly, there was no time, we believe it's unfair, and that's why we had to respond.
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking here about how what is particularly of concern is that the purpose of the decision that's been taken by government when it comes to this permit is to be able to understand how many foreign nationals are working in South Africa and under which specific permit for what specific mandate. Because as you have shared, Minister, time and time again on this platform, the truth of the matter is undocumented, illegal foreign nationals in this country continues to be an issue because you don't know how many there are, simply because of the porous border systems, lack of control, corruption, and the like. So in that case, when you see this kind of challenge, do you feel as though the Helen Suzman Foundation does not understand what is the purpose of doing this?
Add another one, you mentioned porous borders, you mentioned corruption. Add another one, somebody coming into the country and not reporting themselves to the authorities. And that is the main one, Faith, not the issue of porous borders, etc. Because we are governed here by the United Nations Convention of 1951, together with its protocol, which was enacted in 1967, they say if a person wants to apply for asylum in your country and arrive at the borders and announce themselves that I'm applying for asylum, you don't stop them, but when they arrive in your country, they've got 5 days to appear at the nearest refugee reception center. Nobody who goes to a reception center remains undocumented, because when you arrive there and say I'm an asylum seeker, whether you are given asylum or you are given refugee or not, you have got to be documented, because they must take your photo, your fingerprints, and write you and write your name and give you what is called a Section 22 permit, meaning you are here for 3 months or 6 months while you are applying for refugee status. So the main important thing is not just about porous borders and corruption. It's about arriving in a country and not announcing yourself at the, to the to the authorities that I'm here in your country. I came. This is what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Let me play devil's advocate for a second here, Minister. What if, with the argument that perhaps the Department of Home Affairs is actually being seen and portraying itself as xenophobic as well as marginalizing Zimbabwean nationals? How do you respond to that?
Well, Faith, I said this before. I'm going to repeat it. It looks like the word xenophobia is now used as a scarecrow, as a toy gun, which is pointed at anybody you don't agree with, so that they blink or duck under the table. More or less, when you have got a debate or an argument with a person of another color, or especially a white person, you just say you are racist. Then they duck, they blink, and they get confused. And we think the word xenophobia is thrown at us for such reasons, because what you are applying are laws that are, in fact, laws that are stringently applied in other countries than in South Africa. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the head of that commission, Filippo Grande, actually declared that South Africa has got the most progressive immigration laws in the whole world. And so that's the person who is responsible for refugee issues who are saying that. But now when we try to apply those laws, you are branded xenophobic, so that you dug, you go under the table, and then the country becomes lawless. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to blink. There's nobody who will scare me with a toy gun. I will never blink. I will apply the laws as they are.
Speaking about applying the laws, I mean, you're calling upon affected Zimbabwean nationals, for example, to ignore the false hope that has been created by the Helen Suzman Foundation and adhere to the procedures outlined by the department in various public notices as well as communications. So clearly that means that, Minister, you've got confidence that the court action that has been launched now by the Helen Suzman Foundation will not exactly see itself having those laws changed.
We are going to vigorously oppose it. But as you know, the courts in South Africa are the arbiters of everything that is happening. We are a constitutional state, meaning the courts have got the last say. We will wait for them, we'll put our case before them, but we'll wait and hear what they say. All we are saying is that we don't like the propaganda that is being put there, that we have done this thing carelessly, we never followed the law. That is the one that made me very angry. But as to whether the judges will agree with us or not, let's see. I mean, it happens like that in the courts. Sometimes they agree with you, other times they don't agree with you. If they don't agree, we'll comply in what they are saying.
Yeah, I know that it's definitely a wait and see. I'm sure it's not going to be the last time you and I have a conversation. Minister Aaron Motsoaledi, they're giving us the latest when it comes to this exemption granted to Zimbabwean nationals. Of course, the government saying that do not adhere to the false hope that's been created by the Helen Suzman Foundation and adhere to procedures outlined by the department in various public notices and communications. But of course, we'll see how matters unfold in court.